So we would begin with the first session, the Entrepreneurial University concept. So one of the most renowned studies that had sought to establish entrepreneurial universities and pathways how how these universities became entrepreneurial is that by Burton Clark, 1998. That is one of the most popular studies, and as I said, it is based on this study that OECD policies, European Commission policies towards the transformation of universities to entrepreneurial universities have been built. I mean, as of 2017, Burton Clark, this article had about 4,200 citations over Google Scholar. But then we argue in the narrative that some of our participants that have been to the United States or have been in universities that seem to be more entrepreneurial, the MIT, they have the Stanford, would question why wasn't it the United States? And Burton Clark lived in the United States when he did these studies on European universities. So we would like to say why the study by Burton Clark it's one of the most foundational studies, one of the earliest persons to talk about and the transformation to entrepreneurial mindsets in the United States was Henry Edskowitz. And also you would also be seeing or might have seen from my colleague, Professor Jussi Jauhainen, the several talks about the triple helix, where Henrik Edskowitz and Ledesdorff seem to be also like the father of the triple helix. So in one of the 1983 publications, he raised the transformation to entrepreneurial mindsets in the United States. Of course, also there are also studies like Leslie and Slaughter, which talked about how the entrepreneurial mindsets in the United States were shaking the foundation of the American universities. Then Damarco and colleagues in 2018 publication now qualifies that the first wave of entrepreneurial university transformations were the type of Stanford, the likes of Stanford in the Silicon Valley and MITs. And now the European 5 case studies that we shall be looking at were 5 case studies that we shall be looking at. He called it a second wave because the American universities have been into all of these things ever since. And then Damarco says that not only the European cases transformed to entrepreneurial universities, the same transformation processes were taking place in the BRICS countries, including South Africa, where we see that some universities have become very truly entrepreneurial. So we begin now to saying that we would be looking at different dimensions. When we look at Burton Clark looks at the transformation to entrepreneurial universities from the perspective of, okay, the income generation dimension of the university. He looks at how it stimulates autonomy, etc. But the school of thought by Edskowitz looks at the entrepreneurial university from an interactional point of view. So when you look at the entrepreneurial university from this interactional point of view, you see that they tie with the concept of developmental university that was raised at the 1962 UNESCO United Nations Economic Commission for Africa conference on the development of universities. When you look at these interactive lenses of the entrepreneurial university, strongly advocated by Etzkowitz and colleagues, you see that also to an extent they relate to the land-grant universities of the 19th century as an interactional university with the community. So when we also look at the interactional lenses of the entrepreneurial university, we see that they tie with the rationale for creation of new types of universities, such as universities of applied sciences. We have some indications that universities of applied sciences are more entrepreneurial than the traditional universities. Technical universities, vocational and applied universities tend to be more entrepreneurial and interactive, of course, but this is not enough without being truly knowledge-based. We even see that universities that have become entrepreneurial, many of them, like in 4 of Burton Clark 5 case studies, 4 had this technical background, technical applied background. So we begin now trying to establish the factors leading to the entrepreneurial university. Entrepreneurial university, why are universities turning entrepreneurial? There are endogenous factors, the financial factors within universities, how to cope with financial austerities which universities have faced during the past 2-3 decades. There is a gross reduction or relative reduction in funding of universities, such that universities are all looking for different ways by which they can generate income. We talked earlier about massification, which is leading to a demand-supply imbalance. We also have to think about the fact that requests there are so many requests from universities nowadays for which university cannot then another for which universities cannot meet. We also have exogenous factors. We have ideological factors. One of them, they say that times have changed. It's just a simple notion of times have changed to neoliberal thinking that universities should not remain the social sectors or the budget consuming sectors. We have also economic factor. I would join economic factor to knowledge economy. There is also now pressures from government to get universities more interactive. We talk even now in our previous publications, we talk about poverty reduction. Universities have to go as far as even to poverty reduction for the less developed countries. We have globalization. There is a clamor, what we'll call it, a clamor for knowledge resources, mobility of graduates, and so on. And then now, one of the things that we have been talking about, which we certainly try to find the relationship, should we say that the coronavirus would lead to a new type of university, the emergency university, or can it just emerge like that? And when you look at it keenly, you see that some of the key features of the entrepreneurial universities apply to the Entrepreneurial University. We would also like to, one of the first publications that has emerged about the role of entrepreneurial universities during this coronavirus period is that by Kawa Morita and colleagues in 2022 and 20, sorry. Entrepreneurial universities in times of crisis. So shall this, you know, the coronavirus is questioning the role of universities in societies. Coronavirus is questioning the traditional role. The coronavirus is leading to, might lead to a new typology or a form of interactive university during crisis.